Hello and welcome to this UnHerd special report. Dr. Jay Bhattacharya has been confirmed as the head of the National Institute of Health, one of the most powerful public health positions in the world. It's one of the most extraordinary turnaround stories of recent years. Followers of this channel will know that we were the very first people to interview Dr. Bhattacharya at the height of the COVID pandemic, when he published the Great Barrington Declaration with Sunetra Gupta of Oxford and Martin Kulldorff of Harvard, arguing against universal lockdowns and for something they called focused protection. Overnight, he became something of a pariah. The establishment turned on him, his university did not support him, he was even labelled a fringe epidemiologist. Now, just a few years later, he will control a $48 billion budget at the heart of the administration's ideological campaign and at the heart of the so-called Make America Healthy Again movement of Robert F. Kennedy. So, who is Jay Bhattacharya? To understand how he came to this powerful position, how he became the man he is today, we need to go back in time to 2020. Last year, I visited him and his colleagues at Stanford University in California and relived some of those extraordinary weeks that seem to have made him who he is. It all goes back to when the then respected professor of medicine, specializing in health economics, chose to spearhead a study in the county that Stanford University sits in, Santa Clara County, that tried to get an assessment of how many people had contracted COVID-19. So far, so uncontroversial, you might think. But what happened to him then, I think, explains what has happened to him since, what has happened in politics, and ultimately why he is where he is today.
Glad you're streaming with us. Well, President-elect Donald Trump's selections for his administration are almost complete.
The country may be about to participate in a great big MAGA science experiment.
He announced more key appointments, including a new director for the National Institutes of Health.
Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, a non-practicing Stanford physician who has called for overhauling the agency.
An RFK Jr. ally and harsh critic of the pandemic lockdown.
What has been the medical community's response to Dr. Bhattacharya's nomination?
Sheer terror.
These people I think they don't know what they're talking about. But everybody agrees it would be awful.
He's been against vaccine and mask mandates in the past.
So that guy, herd immunity guy.
Let everybody get infected and then we'll have herd immunity is nonsense.
So we're sitting now, we're in Stanford outside your beautiful office. I want to take you back to those crucial early weeks in the pandemic. From just before you wrote your now famous op-ed in the Wall Street Journal through to the Santa Clara study. Tell us that story.
Just before that op-ed, the world closed. I think one of the very first lockdowns in the country, maybe the very first one, happened here in Santa Clara. The decision maker was a woman named Sarah Cody, who was actually I'm friends with for decades. She was my boss's wife, head of Santa Clara County Public Health, and she declared the lockdown. I didn't have access to her, but I was privately quite unhappy with it. I thought it was premature, and I had a couple of ideas in my head. One was that the virus was already much more widespread than we knew. That's what had happened during H1N1, and it seemed likely that a virus like this, it was pretty clearly spread by respiratory, at least droplets, maybe aerosols. At the time, you didn't know for sure. Was going to be more widespread than we realized. More people were going to have it. And then the other thought was, when I heard about the lockdowns, was the collateral damage to the poor. Like, so I am an Indian immigrant. Like my mom was born and grew up in a Calcutta slum, and I got to spend some time visiting family there. I could just picture in my head what was going to happen as the world locked down to the poor living in those kinds of environments. And I was appalled that we'd made that decision.
That is the end of the free preview of this movie. It's an extraordinary film. We went back to Stanford University. We spoke in never-before-seen long conversations with Jay Bhattacharya, with Dr. John Ioannidis and Dr. Iran Ben-David, reliving those crucial moments in 2020 where they went through the most extraordinary experience and attacks. What happened subsequently, the way it formed Jay Bhattacharya's way of thinking about science, will become incredibly relevant in the months and years to come now that he is confirmed as head of the NIH. If you want to watch the rest of that film, just become an UnHerd subscriber. There's a link just beneath here to show how you can do it. For as little as $1 or £1, you can get going as a proper UnHerd subscriber. You know you want to, come and join the family. The link's just there below. We'll see you on the other side.